The Brownies' Spectacles. There was once a small boy called Billy. He had 4 brothers and sisters, and all the children lived with their mother and father in a tiny cottage. Their parents were very poor, and Billy could not remember a single Christmas time when any stocking had been filled, or any birthday where there'd been a birthday cake. The cottage was at the edge of a wood, and the children were forbidden to go there. "It is said that there are brownies and gnomes living in the wood," said their father. "It's best not to go among the trees, for the little folk might take you to work for them." But Billy did not think the brownies were unkind. He had seen 1 or 2, and he thought their faces were as kind as his father's and mother's. But he was an obedient boy, so he didn't go into the wood. One day he was searching for firewood at the edge of the trees. He had a sack that he was filling with twigs and branches. His mother used the wood for the fire, and it was Billy's job to bring in a sackful each day. He picked up twigs busily and then stopped to listen. Surely he could hear something. Yes, he could. It was a sound of someone saying, "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear," over and over again. Who could it be? He soon found out. Behind a tree sat a small brownie with a very sad face, and it was he who was saying, "Oh dear," so many times. "Hello," said Billy, coming up. "What's the matter?" The brownie jumped in fright. "Oh, I didn't hear you coming," he said. "Look, I've broken my spectacles." Billy looked on the ground. There were the brownie's spectacles, smashed to pieces. There was no mending them at all. "I dropped them off my nose," said the brownie sorrowfully, "and as I am quite blind without them, I can't walk another step. So here I must stay until my brother Longbeard comes by late this evening, and I have my dinner cooking away in my cottage, and my old grandmother coming to tea. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh." "I've never heard so many oh dears in my life," said Billy, laughing. "Cheer up. If you tell me the way, I'll take you to your cottage. Then you'll be able to see to your dinner and give your grandmother tea when she arrives." "Now that is kind of you," said the brownie gratefully. "I've another pair of glasses at home, so I shall be all right once I get there. Give me your arm, little boy, and I'll tell you the way to go. Go round the big oak tree to start with, and then between the tall bracken, and then—" Billy guided the little fellow the way he said, and it wasn't long before they arrived at a small blue house set under a great big tree. It had a very large garden indeed, set with tiny trees and nothing else. Not a single flower grew in it. "Thanks very much indeed," said the brownie, opening the door of the cottage. "Could you look on this top shelf for me and see if my other pair of glasses are there?" Billy found them, and the brownie put them on his nose. "Ah," he said, delighted. "Now I can see again. Good. Now what about a glass of lemonade?" "I'd love one," said Billy, "but afraid I mustn't stay. My mother's waiting for her firewood." "Wait a moment," said the brownie. "I'd just like to give you a present for your kindness." He ran out of the back door. Billy waited, feeling most excited. A brownie present might be something really wonderful. A sack of gold, a magic purse, a beautiful jewel. But it wasn't any of these. The brownie came back carrying a small tree that he'd just dug out of his garden. It was a tiny fir tree. "Here you are," he said. "It's a little Christmas tree. You may find it useful. It's the only thing I can give you." Billy was dreadfully disappointed. Only a baby fir tree, the kind he could dig up himself in the wood any day. But he was a polite little boy, and he thanked the brownie and said goodbye, and he ran off. When he got home, he told his mother of the brownie. She looked at the tree. "You are foolish, Billy," she said. "You should have asked him for something else. Those brownies know a lot of magic. He might have done you some good. Throw this silly little tree away." "I'll plant it in my garden," said Billy. "It's a dear little tree. I may as well keep it." So he planted it in his garden and then forgot all about it. The summer passed and autumn came. The little tree grew well. Then the autumn passed into cold winter, and the frost and snow came. The little cottage was cold, for the children could not find enough wood to keep a good fire going. There was not enough to eat either, and when Christmas time came near, Billy knew it was no use hanging up stockings. "Father Christmas can't know where we live," he told the others, "and Mother and Father are too poor to buy presents for us. We must just pretend." "Dig up your little tree and let us pretend it's covered with all sorts of presents," said one of the little girls. So Billy went out and dug up the tree. He put it into a little tub and stood it on the table in the kitchen. "There you are," he said to the children. "There's our Christmas tree. We shall have to pretend there are toys on it." "There shall be a big doll for me," cried one little girl. "And a big book of stories for me," cried the other. "A train for me," shouted Billy's brother. "Gugg, gugg, gugg," said the baby, which meant all kinds of things. "A fat purse for mother," said Billy, "and a good pipe and tobacco for father, and a box of money for me." But it was only pretending. There was nothing on the little tree at all. It was very sad. "Tomorrow is Christmas Eve," said Billy. "I wish Father Christmas would fill our stockings, but I know he won't. Besides, only Baby has stockings this Christmas. We haven't any." The next night, the little tree was put in the scullery out of the way. But when Billy went to wash, he looked at the tree in surprise. Buds were growing at the end of each little branch. How strange this time of year. He looked at it carefully. There was no mistaking it. There were buds. He carried the tree into the kitchen and set it on the table. "Look, Mother," he said. "The little tree seems to be budding. Isn't it funny?" Everyone looked, and do you know, even as they stared at the tree, they could see the buds growing. Yes, really, they were getting bigger each minute. Then one of the buds burst, and what do you suppose its flower was? Guess. It was a little red candle. Wasn't that curious? Then another bud burst, and yet another, and they all flowered into candles. "See this very fat bud," said Billy in great excitement. "Whatever can it be going to burst into?" It certainly was very fat, and it went on growing and growing. It burst at last, and guess what it was? It was a big doll with curly golden hair, blue eyes, and a pink silk dress. There it hung on the tree like a big pink blossom. It was the most wonderful and surprising thing that the children had ever seen. "Mother, it's a magic tree!" cried Billy. "Oh, how glad I am I didn't throw it away. Just look at it. It's full of buds. I do wonder what they'll all be." You should have seen that Christmas tree. It was really a wonderful sight. Its buds burst one after another into the loveliest things. There was a train, a book of stories, a pipe, a purse full of money, a box full of shillings, a shawl, 2 pairs of boots, a necklace, a box of soldiers, a pink rabbit, a blue pig, and heaps of other things. The children cut the strange toy flowers off, and as fast as they cut them off, more buds grew, burst, and became toys or other presents. "What a wonderful tree!" cried everyone. "We shall have a fine Christmas now." "I'm going out to spend some of my money," said Billy. "I'm going to buy a fat goose for tomorrow's dinner, and a Christmas pudding, and lots of sausages, cakes, biscuits, and fruit. Hooray! This will be our first good Christmas." Well, certainly it was a good Christmas. The little magic tree went on flowering until midnight, and then it stopped. But dear me, by that time the cottage was quite crammed with good things. It looked as if Father Christmas had emptied 20 sacks there. "Tomorrow morning I'm going to see that brownie who broke his spectacles and thank him very much," said Billy. "I didn't know the tree was such a marvellous one." So the next day he set off to the little blue cottage, and when he got there, what a sight met his eyes. All the little fir trees in the Brownies' garden had flowered in the night, and the ground was covered with all kinds of lovely things. The brownie was busy picking them up and putting them into sacks. "Hello," he said to Billy. "I hope your tree flowered all right." "Oh yes, and I've come to say thank you very much indeed," said Billy. "I didn't know it was Christmas trees you grew. I thought it was ordinary trees." "Dear me, no," said the brownie. "I grew these for Father Christmas. He took about 500 from me this Christmas. The rest have all flowered, as you can see. I'm gathering up all the toys to send away to children's parties." "Will my tree flower again next year?" asked Billy. "Of course," said the brownie. "It has a Christmas spell in it, you know." "Oh, how lovely," said Billy. "I am glad I found you when you broke your spectacles that day in summer, Brownie. If you hadn't, we wouldn't have had our lovely tree and all our presents and our Christmas goose and Christmas pudding and everything. We're so happy." Off he went, and you can guess what a lovely time he and his brothers and sisters had that Christmas day. The little tree has been carefully planted in Billy's garden again. He'll dig it up next Christmas Eve. And wouldn't you like to see it flowering into toys again? I know I would.